Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are getting into a question that really is at the heart of our daily lives. Where do you find your real comfort and energy? Is it in quiet solitude, or is it out there in a bustling social life? It's a tension that pretty much all of us feel, so we're gonna unpack it. So let me ask you this. Picture it. It's the end of a long, draining week. What truly recharges your batteries? Is it curling up with a good book and total quiet, just you and your thoughts? Or is it calling up your friends, heading out, and just soaking up the energy of a crowd? Just hold on to that feeling as we dive in. All right, so first things first, we're often made to feel like we have to choose between being alone and being social, as if they're completely opposite things. But what if they aren't? What if they're both just two totally valid paths to feeling good? Let's take a look. Okay, let's start with quiet solitude. Now, the most important thing to get here is that this is not about being lonely. Nope, this is a deliberate choice. It's you actively carving out time for yourself, to think, to create, or to just be still and let that internal battery recharge. For a lot of introverts, this is pretty much their home base.
And then, on the flip side, you've got the active social life. This is all about engagement, shared experiences, It's about getting out there, making connections, and drawing this incredible, powerful energy from being around other people. For extroverts, this isn't draining at all. It's literally their fuel.
So you see, we have these two completely different ways of getting energized. For introverts, solitude is like the recharge station, where they process the world. For extroverts, socializing is the gas that powers them up. The key here isn't that one is better than the other, not at all. It's that knowing your own default setting is the first real step to building a life that actually feels right for you.
Okay, so what does this choice actually do to our brains? Let's look at the real, measurable impact that both solitude and socializing have on our mental health. And, the effects might be a little more surprising than you think.
Each path has its own kind of delicate balance. Solitude can be an absolute powerhouse for creativity and deep thinking, giving our brains that clear space to connect the dots. But of course, if you push it too far, it can definitely tip over into loneliness. On the other hand, socializing gives us that amazing rush of happiness hormones. But we've all been there. It's so easy to overdo it and hit that wall of social burnout.
And the data really backs this up with some pretty powerful numbers. For people who need it, choosing to spend time alone can actually reduce feelings of anxiety by a noticeable 15 to 20%. Meanwhile, studies show that having an active social life is linked to a 25% lower risk of depression. This isn't just about feeling good. These are real, tangible ways to manage our mental well-being.
And it doesn't just stop with our mental health. It also affects our work. How do these different styles impact our ability to get stuff done? Let's talk about productivity.
The secret really is all about matching your environment to the task at hand. For that deep, focused work, I'm talking writing code, analyzing data, anything where you need to concentrate, your brain craves quiet. Distractions are the enemy. But for tasks that feed on that collaborative energy, like brainstorming new ideas or just building team morale, that social buzz is exactly what you need to get things going.
30%. Just let that sink in. According to some research, that is how much faster people can complete complex tasks when they're in a quiet, solitary space compared to a noisy, open office. That is not a small difference. That is a huge productivity boost just from controlling your environment.
Now, this brings us to something that's really personal for all of us, our relationships. How do these preferences of ours end up shaping the connections we make? Do we grow deep roots with just a few people? Or do we grow wide, sprawling branches that connect us to many?
Take this quote from Sarah, a writer. It just perfectly captures the power of solitude. For her, creativity wasn't something she found in a workshop or a group setting. It was found by closing the door, tuning out all the noise, and just connecting with her own inner world. That quiet space is what let her create something amazing.
But then you get the complete opposite perspective from Khalid, who's an event planner. For him, a life packed with people and events isn't a distraction, it's the very source of his happiness and his success. His energy comes directly from those vibrant connections he makes.
So these two stories, they show us these two really distinct styles of connecting with people.
One path leads to having fewer but incredibly deep and strong relationships, like deep roots holding you steady. The other path builds a much broader, wider network of connections, like sprawling branches reaching out. Neither one is better, they're just different ways of building a meaningful social life.
Okay, so after looking at these two worlds, where does that actually leave us? You know, the goal here was never to pick a winner. It's about finding your unique point of comfort. It's about crafting a personalized balance that genuinely works for you.
And that's the real takeaway here. This is not about choosing a side in some kind of battle. It is all about self-awareness. The real answer is found in understanding your own personality, knowing what gives you energy, what drains you, and what truly, deeply makes you feel like yourself.
And you can see how this might play out. If you lean more towards introversion, maybe you thrive with quiet activities, like reading or hiking, and your goal is deep, meaningful connection. If you're more of an extrovert, maybe you get your energy from big parties and group travel in a bustling city, aiming for a big, diverse network. Just looking at this, where do you see yourself?
So how do you actually find this balance? Well, it's a pretty simple 4-step process. First, just identify your natural tendency and do it without any judgment. Then, you have to consciously make time for both quiet reflection and for social connection. And then here's the most important part. Listen to your own energy levels and adjust as you go. This isn't some rigid set of rules. It's a living, breathing practice.
And that leaves us with one last question to think about. Now that you have this framework, what does your perfect personalized balance actually look like? Take a second to really consider that, because the power to design that life, it's entirely in your hands. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.